Can't stand people who slurp the drinks. Sometimes it just happens and you go, oh, you ever done that in a restaurant? You slurped and thought, oh. Welcome everybody to Mark Bajerski YouTube channel. Welcome to Mark Bajerski Crystals channel. I think I've double whammied this one. I think I've got it right. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I haven't, but I'm hoping that it's live on both channels. Welcome everybody. Brendan Martin, one of my favorite souls in the world. Welcome, welcome Brendan. I hope you're doing well, pal. Somebody just sent me a little link just now of I don't know if you've heard of him. I'm sure you have. Joe Rogan. People always send me links of everybody, and it's just of a guy who's talking about Jesus coming back. I'm 57 now. I think I first heard Jesus coming back said when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I'm now 57. Yeah, no, he ain't coming back. But it's a really wonderful thought for people so that they don't do anything. A fantastic thought. If there's one way of stopping people from doing anything, which is, you know, to make the change in the world, to call out the suffering that's happening all over the world, not talking about certain religions, not talking about certain, you know, countries. I'm talking about evil that is inside humanity. And we're seeing it, recognizing it all the time. One of the things that I always thought was funny, that if I was Jesus and I did come the first time, and yeah, they bloody hung me. They hung me up by, well, apparently, who knows, but apparently they nailed me on a cross. Do you think I want to come back down, seeing everybody walking around with a cross around their neck? I'd be like, just stop the reminder, will you? That's why he's not coming, because you're all wearing crosses. Take them off. You know what? If somebody burnt me alive, right, and then I came back and you were all wearing me burning alive, it's like, what are you doing? But it really is the greatest marketing for business, for the Vatican, for religion. It really is. The cross is phenomenal when you think about it. The fish is another one, which is quite phenomenal as well. They've marketed that right. So you've seen that on the side of or the back of the cars, the fish, right? And if you've done any, I mean, these people who are theologians or whatever they call themselves, these you know, these guys who used to sit around in the Roman times in their Senate and discuss things, you know, life. I find it fascinating where at the moment there's this idea of, you know, AI taking over the world in a most devious manner. And why is that? It's taking over the world because it wants you not to think. It doesn't want you to study. It doesn't want you to look at your past. It doesn't want you to ask questions. It just wants to tell you exactly what you need to be programmed with. That's what Grok, AI, ChatGPT, it's basically a manipulator. Oh, but it's lovely, Mark. Yeah, but it's manipulating. And those who manipulated it, if you just look at them, if you understand who they are, if you know what they're attached to, you'll realize that you wouldn't want anything to do with these things. You really, like, it's like gurus. If you really truly understood that guru and saw what he did behind closed doors, and, you know, the kiddie fiddler that he is, or the amount of women, young women he has around him, you don't want nothing to do with his belief system. The Bible is the greatest story ever told, Jordan Maxwell paraphrasing, but it's a story and it's a metaphor for life. And I've always believed that. And it makes absolute complete sense to me. The light and dark, the battle between light and dark, that is a genuine battle. And the battle is that on a night you want to close the doors, you want to protect yourself from, you know, evil, the prince of darkness. And then when you wake up, then you're with Father, Son. Makes sense. The sun. So light and dark is only as what the book says. It's a metaphor. It's not about a man called Jesus. It's about light and dark. And when you start to study and start to look at these things, you start to realize how amazing all the stories are. And there is spirituality running through the Bible. There is no doubt there's spirituality running through there. I'm not knocking that at all. You can feel it. There's a lot of spirituality. There's a lot of beautiful energy running through there. But I think it's just been taken out of context by humans that have used it like they have done for centuries. Anything that's good, somebody's going to hijack to use for their own benefit. You think that people aren't watching every day to find some kind of way of making money, some kind of way of starting something new that nobody knows about, any kind of way that they want to bring people to their ego and their greed and sometimes their monster energy. They're looking for ways of strengthening that. So I've had many a times people come to me and I've realized that this person is not genuine. I've met them. It doesn't take long. They've come to my circle nights. They heard about me when I was a psychic and I was starting to do really, really well, being asked to go all over the world. You're not coming here for energy healing. You're not coming here for truth and for spirituality. You're coming here for another reason. And I can see straight through you what you're doing. You're a deceiver. You're a little crook. You're a little gangster. You're a little slimy little worm. And I see through you. And it's all across the board, no matter what industry, what work you do. And then you realize that there are people that aren't good in this world. And, we look at people and think, oh, they're like me. They're not like you at all. This morning, especially in these past 4 years, what's happened to humanity, the cut between the consciousness and the body is incredible, phenomenal. What's happened, and we're like, this is what we're like with a jaw down because we didn't realize how bad it was going to get. Now, there are people that are selfish, genuinely selfish. There are people who are really, really evil inside. And just this morning, I took my daughter for some breakfast as a goodbye because she's leaving for the UK. We went for a breakfast at a lovely little place. And in this little place, there's 2 seats inside. And outside, there's loads of seats. And inside, there was nobody sat there. So I said, oh, you queue up, I'll sit down and I'll save this seat for us. So it was a double seat, put my bag where China was sitting and I was sat on the other seat. So I was sat there and China shouted something out, oh, where's the menu? And I got up, walked over to her. And as soon as I walk up, this woman around 60 years old was in my seat. And China said, that woman's just sat where you sat. And I turned and looked and I know it's ridiculous, right? And she looked at me with such anger in my face as if to say, I'm sat here now. So I walked over and I just took my bag and I just laughed. But her anger was serious. And you can't, like, have you ever heard or have you ever seen these things on TV where it's like Black Friday? There's a discount in a superstore and there's 500 people waiting at the front of the store ready to burst in the door. And they're all basically killing each other. They're all pulling and ripping it. This is how I see humanity getting drip by drip, step by step, moment by moment in these past 4 to 5 years. I've seen it across board of so many people. I've seen the anger of crowds becoming heightened. I've seen people become more judgmental, more angry, more opinionated. People have no sense of stillness. They're judging, they're quick to fire. Knee-jerk reactions is like 1,000-fold than what it was. So now it's becoming more and more evident that the severe disconnect from human to their soul, their bodysuit to their soul, it's just separated. And I find that fascinating. Everywhere you go, there are clues. When you're in your car, look at the anger in drivers now. Look how quick they're ready to fire at you. Look how quick they're ready to get angry. And, you know, I don't see much anger towards the darkness. I don't see much strength when it comes to darkness. I see the darkness in souls that show the strength to good people. So that calculation is easy now. You are dark because you get angry with good and kind and caring and people who you see as easy targets. So it's fascinating. And like I said, when people talk to me about darkness hasn't got any power, I simply say, well, what about Bill Gates? What about Kissinger? What about Jimmy Savile? Why is it that all the good people get shot and killed? Why is it that anybody who speaks the truth with love and passion against very few, why are they shot and killed? Why are they poisoned? Why do they shoot themselves and then hang themselves afterwards? I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that evil is becoming more and more powerful day by day. And it's becoming more difficult for people who are calling evil out. This channel doesn't surprise me at all. They are stopping anybody who's speaking any kind of truth. And I'm being very careful here because I'm not saying anything about health. I'm not talking about any kind of medical intervention. So they can't say anything. I'm just generalizing. So hopefully they can't take me off. But the argument I get from spiritual people now is that, you know, you've changed, Mark. I don't like you anymore. I get it every day. Literally, I can show you 2 or 3 messages this morning. I don't like you anymore. You changed. And I say, thank you very much. I actually mean it. Thank you. It's an honor that you've said that, but you've no idea what you've just said there, because I know I'm evolving. Because if I was the same, I'd be like water in a pond and I'd start to go off and stink. But I am changing. I am flowing. I am moving. I'm seeing things differently. I'm understanding life. Why? Because things have changed. Now, if it was 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, there was a lot of love in me because I believed wholeheartedly and I saw with all with my heart, my eyes, my intuition, that we as humanity were growing. You would call the NPCs were happy, joyful. There was a lot of people who were trying to find enlightenment, loads of people. So everybody was saying, who am I? Why am I here? What's my path? You can only do that when everything is kind of fit into place, when everything's joyful, you can afford your bills, everything's okay. Now I've got a little bit of time to say, you know, reevaluate my life. And I saw this, and I remember I told you, and I've said it, if you've ever heard me before, I went on the Richie Allen radio show and I said, the tables have tilted, it's tipped. Everything now is gone on the side of light and love, light being spirituality. And I remember Richie saying, well, really? I'm like, yes. It's tipped just 1%. It's tipped. The scales have tipped from negative to positive. And I see this change in humanity. And I'm so blessed. I'm smiling. I'm joyful. Everybody that I see is joyful. I used to walk through this village every morning and say hello to everybody. There was joy in so many people's hearts. So many people were kind. Nobody was bitching hardly at all. And it was like, people were really like, I was getting crowds of people coming to see me. I was getting tons of people coming to watch me work alongside Gerardo, who was a shaman. We were doing good. We were all low. Every spiritual people were really doing well. It was amazing. How could I not say the tables have tilted? They had. Now the light meaning we can see. And no sooner did I did that video, guess what happened? All of a sudden, the darkness, the monsters who were running this world realized that they were in trouble and they had to do something fast. And boy, did they do something. They locked us all in our houses, deprived us from the sun, made us sick, ill. And then they forced upon us something. And here we are today, right now, seeing the after effect of all of those things. Can't deny it. The tables tilted again, but this time they tilted very, very heavily on the side of darkness, on lies, not on truth, on the prince of darkness, not on light. So I say all these things because we are at a point now where people are looking for answers. Those people that I talk about are those that are on their spiritual journey. And I titled today's Let's Talk, Do Your Best, because doing your best is the best you can do. And what does that mean? It means you don't put pressure on yourself. You don't look at the lady who's just stolen your chair and fight back, but you laugh, you smile, because you realize that, thank God, I didn't fall for the Prince of Darkness's tricks and lies and deceit. Because if I did, I'm looking right at what the consequences are. So I'm joyful that the Prince of Darkness has no power over me. So I do my best every day and I stay strong. I point out truths, my truths, maybe not your truths, but my truths. I share with you what helps me along this journey every day. Why? Because I'm always wearing what I share. I'm always using what I share. I'm always working with what I wear. Always working with what helps heal me. Always working with what helps me. Always working with what helps me. So I share with you these things. On a counter note, I could have been upset with this woman and been upset and frustrated and angry, like some people would be. Not me. Found another seat, which was even nicer. Sat down, me and my daughter laughed, and she said, that was really funny, wasn't it? I went, yeah, really funny. We had a beautiful breakfast. China got up and went to buy something, and I was sat there, and the boss came over. I'd seen the boss before. He never came over to me. Came over, and I looked at the bread that I didn't eat because it was too hard, and my jaw is at the moment still some tension in my jaw. And I said, when I eat like bread like that, the hard bread, it sometimes can cause a little bit of pain on my jaw. And he says, oh, he looked at me, he says, you know what you want to use? I says, no. What? He says, you need a scanner. And I said, what's a scanner? He says, they use them everywhere. My wife uses it. And I'm like, what is it? It's a special frequency that you put up there and it tells your brain that it needs to heal here. And he said, and it works. He said, it's helped my knee. And I said, oh, what's wrong with your knee? He says, oh, I've had trouble for many years. So as he's telling me that, I go into my bag and I give him one of my new oils, Blender the Healer. And he says, what's this? And I said, rub it on your knee 3 times a day. I said, I had the same problem for maybe a year. I said, it's gone. I have no problem with my knee anymore. He said, wow, thank you. For me? He said, what is it? I said, it's just a beautiful mix. It's just really, really good and strong. And I'm sure it'll help if you use it 3 times a day. I was so thankful. And he said, yeah. He says, and this is a big guy from from Denmark, big guy, big 6'7", massive bloke. And he owns this place and he's the chef in there. He's the baker. And he said, you know, he says, I didn't see this around my neck. He says, he says, these things do help. He says, you know, I use this stone. I said, oh, yeah. He said, yeah. I put it around my neck for all the energies. And I'm like, oh, wow. What is it? He says, I don't know. It's a black stone. I said, could it be shungite? He went, shungite. Yes. And he said, and you know what else I do with shungite? He said, it's incredible. I said, what do you do with shungite? He says, I put it into my water. He says, and I drink my water and I can feel it. And I went, wow, that's amazing. And he says, and you know what else I do? He says, I put it into my barrels and I leave it overnight. And then I use it for my bread. And my bread, it sourdough overnight, and it expands and it's so much better and healthier. I said, yeah. I said, I actually also drink that and I actually love crystals too. He says, my son loves crystals. He's only young, but we went to a crystal shop. My son loves crystals. And I said, I'll bring some crystals for your son. He says, why, you have some crystals? I said, yeah, I have a few. I said, next time I come, I'll bring a bag of crystals for your son. How nice. This oil for me? I said, of course it's for you. I said, when I come back again, I'll bring you a few more bottles. Keep using it. And in a few weeks, maybe a month, your pain in your knee may have gone. I was so thankful. My point being is that we see light and dark every day. The opportunity to see both is always there. The opportunity given to help us see who we are not, to remind us of what we could be if we're not careful, if we're not wise, if we do not connect to the consciousness, our soul, if we don't listen to the spirit, we can easily fall down the wrong path. You know, I spoke of a story once where I was a young lad, and it was a point where I decided to open an auction house, and I was new to the business but very excited, and I'd never even thought about being an auctioneer. But the night of the auction, we had over 200 people there, and the guy that I found to do the auction was I can do that. Yeah, he's on the market. He was a market boy who used to sell fruit and vegetables. And back in the days, we had people who used to talk about meat. You know, we had a meat counter where this guys used to have a microphone saying, "You could be really good at talking." And I thought this would be the perfect person. And I said, "Would you wear a suit and come and sit down and read?" He says, yeah. So I was sat next to him and I was doing the paperwork. So when this was the first auction day, when somebody would buy something, they'd hold a card number up. So it would say number 62. So lot one's just sold to number 62 for £22. Okay. So I would be writing that down and I'd be watching for anybody bidding, and he'd be doing the talking about what the product was, what lot one was. So we all sat down. He sat down. I sat down. Funnily enough, we'd got some chairs and we'd basically drilled them to the wall. So we had to platform up and sit on these chairs. Right, really strange, but it's the only way we could see everybody. So it started, and hand on heart, this is exactly what happened. He turned, like I'm only 20 odd years old, turns and looks at me, and he's like in his 30s, 35, nearly 40. He looked at me and he said, "Mark." I went, "What?" "I can't do it." And I said, "What can't you do?" He says, "I can't do this." I said, "Why not?" He says, "I don't know. I'm so nervous. I can't do it. I can't do it, Mark." So I said, "Give us a mic." I took it. We swapped the paperwork around. I said, "You write down everything that I sell." And that was the beginning of my journey of becoming an auctioneer. I had no frigging option. Was that a mistake, or was that exactly what was meant to happen? I was going to pay him £100 that night. So I ended up doing it myself and saving £100. Point being is that these amazing moments for me are stories about our life and how it's all as it should be and it all works out fine. Again, another instant, my daughter came over here a week ago, and just out of coincidence, I watched something. I actually posted it, and I went, oh, I mean, I'm not really into fighting, and I've got 2 children who fight. But I always support them, and their teachers are fighting. They don't fight people on the streets. They teach people self-defense, which is really good. But everybody else who watches my daughter fight or my son fight say, oh, I don't like this fighting. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. I understand. I don't like to watch either of them fight when they're in competition. It breaks my heart, and I don't like to see anybody hurt. But that said, it's their choice, none of my business. You choose your path. Just take care of yourself. I always think to myself, and I have done for the past few years, China, I see you holding these pads and people are boom, boom, and kicking, and like you must take a lot of energy. And she says, oh, Dad, I suffer with my knee and my shoulder these days. And I'm like, you can't keep doing this, China, because, you don't want to live like some bodybuilders that they train and then at the end of their life, the last 20, 30 years, they can't walk properly. They're in pain. You don't want that in your life. And I'm like thinking about, I really hope she finds something else. Anyway, she sent me a video and I looked at it and I went, wow, that's a really good video. Whoever filmed that really captured the moment. She said, I did. I went, you didn't? She says, I did it, Dad. I said, China, look at what you can do. This is amazing. She said, you know what, Dad? I almost know before it happens when something good's going to happen or when they're about to do something. I'm like, well, that's your training and that's your instinct. You're really good at filming this. And I'm like, inside, I'm like, this is it. This is the transition. This is the moment that the universe is showing you. So it's a birthday. And I said, why don't I buy you something that you can utilize so that you're not using your camera and you've got a specialist camera? She said, oh, Dad, that would be amazing. And I said, do you think anybody else would be asking you to? She says, there's people asking me to do it now. I'm like, people are asking you to do it? Yeah, to go to the fights and film them. I'm like, oh my God. And you get paid really well. And I'm like, China, this is the best investment. What is it you need? What camera is it? I'm buying it. I want you. I'm like, have you ever thought about asking anybody of these guys who do it already to help? I already know 2 of them and they want to help me. Like 5 minutes ago, Dad, you're not going to believe this. I'm like, what? Somebody sent me a free 14-hour workshop on how to film. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, what I'm saying is that miracles do happen when you're in that energy. Miracles do happen when you see them. I've seen miracles happen, but people never saw them. Over the 20 years that I've worked with clients, I've seen miracles happen and some see them and some don't. It's not for me to tell you that your miracle's here. It's for you to find your miracle. It's for you to see your miracle. Once you've seen it, then you understand it. I can't tell you what you should think or feel. Only you can tell yourself what you think you should feel. And only you will know when your consciousness tells you, not your brain or somebody else's brain or somebody else's consciousness per se. Because it's up to you to digest, see it, or feel it. Nobody else can give you that. I can give you information now, and it's like water off a duck's back. It means nothing. Why? Because it wasn't your moment. Now, when we understand this, then we have to also understand that when we share a message to a crowd, when we're in a circle night, one person might hear that message, and it might change their life forever. but it wasn't the message that came out of my mouth. It was what somebody was listening to. They were feeling it, and then they created it by, oh my God, the penny drop moment. That's not my moment, because you could read that. You can listen to it. You can feel it. Not for me to create. Don't do this, don't do that. Doesn't work. What works is that I've decided not to do this because of this reason. Now I'm thinking about my life and how can I utilize what Mark's just said. You know what? I don't think I'm going to do it because of this reason. So you're not the genius. You're not the guru. You're not the preacher. You're not the message. You're the messenger. So we share it every day, all of us. You tell me things and then I go away and think about them. That's why I always say to you guys, go away and think about whatever I've said. Was there anything that touched you when I've said something? You've gone, you pay attention. Those are the things that your consciousness is going, hey, did you hear what he just said there? Did you hear what he just said then? They're the moments that your consciousness is waking you up to what your path and journey is. So your path and journey is always there. It's always happening. And even when you steer away from your path, your consciousness is always guiding you back onto that path and journey, that divine footstep. And it's so true. And the only way the Prince of Darkness stops that is by causing darkness in our life, by moving us off the path, just like what was said in the werewolf film. Remember it? Jack, stay on the path, lads. In the darkness, you're busy. You're busy walking off the path. You're not looking at the path. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh shit, I'm in trouble. Where's the path gone? And that happens to a lot of people when they are poisoned, when they are sick, when they are filled with frustration, anger, bitterness, and fear. So it makes sense that our path and journey is not to digest those things. There's nothing wrong with seeing them. There's nothing wrong with being aware of them. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging them, like I did today with this absolute numpty of a woman who deliberately stole the seat that I was sat on, which was free, and she stole it. She saw the bag there and she looked at me, and my daughter said, she's just stolen your seat. And I'm like, I'm laughing. I picked my bag up because I'm not going to let that affect me. But I am going to thank you so much for showing me who I never want to be. Thank you for being the kind person, and please take the seat. No problem. Not an issue. But I share this with you because we have to learn to react and let go. Pain is always going to be inevitable in this life. Little things are always going to piss you off. Things are going to get you down. Things are going to get you sad. Things are going to, heartbreak will come. Grief will come. But it's how you handle it. And by handling it in a way that doesn't affect you for long is exactly why the Buddha said, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. When I heard that saying, I was in the right place at the right time, and it blew me away because it then put the pieces together for me for my next path as a healer. Pain is inevitable, Mark. People are going to come in and cry. People are going to be upset. But what's optional for your client is how long you hold on to it for. So what are you going to do, Mark? I'm going to try and help this client feel better, quicker. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do everything I can to make you feel better before you leave this room. So I'm going to sit you down and tell you all about who you are. I'm going to tell you your strengths. I'm going to tell you everything that I can feel about the magic and the miracles and the gifts that you hold inside that you forgot because you're in pain and suffering right now. Once I've told you them things, I'm going to lay you down on a healing bed and I'm going to clear all of that bad stuff that you've held on to, whether it's grief, whether it's somebody saying something nasty, whether a partner's left you, whether you've just been told you've got a disease. I'm going to clear all that away from your body so you're going to feel better when you get up. You're going to feel clearer, you're going to feel healthier, and you're going to walk out of this room with a different energy, with a different perspective. And to this day, hand on heart, I have read for and healed for thousands and thousands and thousands of people daily for the 12 years that I worked full time. And all I can tell you is that nobody ever got up and felt worse. They always felt better. And that's all that mattered to me. So I leave you with this. Do your best, because that's the best you can do. I do wish you a lovely day, guys, from the bottom of my heart. I am so glad to be back. It's now time for me to work on something very special. That I do try and listen to my clients, although sometimes, it doesn't always work out. And I get that. I understand that. But I try and listen. So for the past 5 years, I've had an extensive collection of what's called Moldavite Besanits hedgehogs. They are the highest of grade. We call them museum pieces. And the reason why they're called museum pieces, because if you look under a microscope at your beautiful Besanitse hedgehog, you will find that there is no chips at all. They're absolutely perfect, as 50 million years has created underground. Now, to have these museum pieces, I spent close to 100,000 euros on a box full, just a few of a tray full. And they've been on my website, and I've sold a few, not many, because they're freaking expensive, very expensive, the museum quality. So I sold maybe one a year or maybe two a year. Some I sold for 14. I sold one at 14,000 once. I sold one for 7,000. I sold one at 2,000. But I've still got quite a few left at round about 2,000. Now, I've been trying to get some Moldavite Besanits because people want them, but they're too expensive. So I finally tracked down some pieces which are what's called AA grade. What does that mean? It means that there might be a slight chip here and there. No big deal, because in the world of energy healing, it doesn't matter if your crystal's chipped. It's the energy that's kicked out. So I realized that there's a gap in the market. And I did some meditating with a crystal the other day, funnily enough, and that was called the Flame of Bohemia. And that's a crystal that, as far as I'm concerned, is priceless. And I was sat meditating with it. And I heard the message that you need Besanits and you need to get them so that the crowds can have them. So I did some homework research. I started talking to two of my favorite Moldavite collectors, buyers, dealers who share. I buy off all the time. And I said, I'm looking specifically for some Besanits hedgehogs, which are less grade than AAA, less grade than museum, obviously. And I want them, I don't mind if there's a little chip here and there, because what I want to do is get them at a price that I can afford to sell them at to people who wants a Besanitsa hedgehog. And I managed to do it. So I'm in the process of working on them, and I have 50 pieces, and they're going to be affordable. So that is a joy for me. I also am working on some Besanits, and they are do you remember when somebody complained and said you're selling fake Moldavite? And I'm like, no, I don't sell fake Moldavite. I go to the Czech Republic and buy them straight from the diggers. No, sorry, they're not Honestly, they're not. They're just very special. And from Bessanits, so the Bessanits nuggets. Hey, here it is. I still kept it. I still kept it in the drawer. So this woman had gone to a crystal shop, and the guy at the crystal shop says, "That's not. You bought that off Mark Bayerski. That's not Moldavite. Is cheated you." So of course, I sent a message to my wonderful friend who has been selling crystals all his life, Moldavites all his life, because he lives there, and I said, I've got a problem with a client. They're telling me that these are not real. And after a few F's and buts and blinds saying, just send it me. And I'll take it to the #1 place where you can take it and to certify it. So that was it. And I got it all certified, all there. So anyway, I loved them. I absolutely loved them. They were a beautiful shade, a very unusual shade of green, like you can get Moldavites almost black from the Czech Republic, depending on what part of the Czech Republic they're dug from. Anyway, so I sent it to the lady, and I obviously paid her straight back, and I got it back. I wanted it back. And then I remounted it, and it remounted, and it sold within, I think, 30 minutes. And the person who has this one now, you have no idea what magic has happened to that person. Phenomenal. So it was meant to be. What a beautiful outcome. What a beautiful outcome. So I ordered round about 20, 30 of these pieces. So a huge investment for me. But what I've figured out is that I might captivate an audience of people who want the highest quality of Bessanits, in the sense of the Bessanits energy and the fact that it's the hedgehogs and these beautiful nuggets for more affordable prices, not in their thousands, but in their hundreds. So that was really nice. I was really happy to do that, because the past 4 years has been difficult with Moldavite. The prices have gone through. I mean, even these were through the roof. These aren't like 20, 30. These are a fortune per gram. These are the most expensive per gram. So that was really nice. And I also got some really nice Maliclum pieces, which are more flat. So I like them as well. So they've been mounted in roll gold. So there's 50 pieces coming in a couple of weeks, which I worked on for about 3 months. So they've gone to ballet. They're going to take a month and a half. I think the end production of the Moldavite roll gold flat pieces, because all the flat pieces are normally in silver. And somebody was saying, can I have some flats? 3 people asked. Whenever 3 people ask, I go, okay, I take notice, I do it. So I've got 50 coming in silver and 50 coming roll gold, which is beautiful. 9-carat roll gold. Was it 9? I can't remember. It might be 18. It could be 18. Anyway, I'll let you know. So that's beautiful. At the moment on markbayerski.com, I still have about 20 pieces left, something like that, maybe 25 of the nuggets. And the Maliclum nuggets, which are all mounted in rose gold. They're sterling silver and then rose gold. I think that they've been dipped 3 times. So it's not a 1 dip, it's a 3 dip. So it's really, really beautiful. And it's like a rose gold, rolled rose gold. And mainly men buy them because they're kind of like, they're nuggets, most of them. So they've gone well, and they were affordable. I mean, just to get them mounted with rose gold and sent to Bali and come back again, plus buying the beautiful piece, I thought I'd done them at a really good price. They were anywhere between $300 and $450, and I've sold quite a few of them, and people love them. Absolutely, the guys love them, which is great. So, yeah, everything is great. I'm trying to, work on the website to make it easier to work with, make it easy for you to navigate through, and offering you a choice of things that you might not have seen, because there must be 20,000 products on there. That's a lot of products to go through, especially if you haven't got time. So we're working on all of that. So other than that, do you know what I think I'm going to do today? I'm going to choose some crystals, put them on a board, and then do a video and say anybody who spends 120 euros on markbayerski.com from today is going to be put into a raffle, because I want to say thank you as well, because you've all been so kind. So yeah, and then somebody wins 3,000 or 4,000 euros of crystals every month. So I'll do that today. I think I'm going to choose some lovely crystals and put them on a board. So I guess from this moment, now I've said it, I mean it, from this moment on, right now, what time is it? It's 1 o'clock. As from 1 o'clock today, no, as from this morning, if you bought some this morning, I'll add it to the jar. So as soon as you spend 120, if you spend 240, you get 2 tickets. If you spend 360, you get 3 tickets. And that's how I'll do it. So it's always a thank you. I don't need to do it, but I do it out of the bottom of my heart, because I love you all, and I just want to, it's nice to see somebody getting all of those crystals. It's a blessing. So that's what I'll do. And I always have runners-up prizes as well. If you know me at all, I always give lovely runners-up prizes. So don't worry about that. There'll be a lot more than just one prize. So that's it. I'm very happy, very healthy, very joyful, and I send you all my love and healing. Maybe later on this afternoon, I shall do a video, a live of channeling your crystal, because I've had loads of messages asked for that, for their family and friends. So maybe later on this afternoon at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I don't know, I'll see how I feel. I'll do a live to attune to your perfect crystal right now. And yeah, that'll be my work done. Should we leave it on a high note? I'll just read a card, close my eyes. See, my eyes are closed. Here's your card today. Take time this day to go through some old photos of yourself. I just got this out not so long ago, about a week ago. I haven't looked through them yet. But look, photos of me when I was a kid. Don't I look gay there? Yes, one time. Tell me I didn't look like a beautiful baby. Look how beautiful that baby is there. Look, that's me. He's a good looking lad. You won't even know what that is, will you? I might be a millionaire. I didn't even know. This is a premium bond, national savings. Somebody bought it, mate, back in the day of, is that 1999? Issued the 14th of 1999. Well, that's okay. How much is it for? Looks like it says 1. Oh no, it's £3. Hey, bloody hell, I could be a millionaire. This time next year, Rodney. This time next year, Rodney. Yeah, I've shown this photo before. I know you're not. Oh, it's Jesus Christ, he's got his photos out, everybody. There you go. That's me there on a bike. What was I doing? That was on a, hang on, there, that one. That is me on a car. No, it's a bus. It's a bus. And I was sleepwalking. Apparently, I was sleepwalking in that photo. Very good. Very good. I'm going to take time to look at all of these. I had a swing when I was a kid. Did you ever hear me saying I had a swing when I was a kid? You can see a swing there. That's my swing. That's the greenhouse with where I got beat all the time because I was stealing all the tomatoes, the ripe tomatoes, and my dad used to give me a beating for doing it. So there you go. That's me. If you ever didn't believe I went to Stonehenge, I did. Look, that's me as a little boy at Stonehenge. That's me at the Colosseum as a little boy with my mum. That's me there, look there, with a lizard. That's me as a Mexican with no clothes on because for some reason, my mum never put clothes on me when I was playing as a kid. Freaky. So there you go. Loads of memories. I want you to get, and this is, if I ever told you, my dad had a mobile home, a blue and white mobile home. If I ever told you about that, here it is. That's the blue and white mobile home my dad had. We used to go to Poland, and that's me getting, what's it called? When you have can't remember what it's called. Confirmation name. I was being confirmed because my mum was Catholic. Look at me praying there as a little Catholic boy. Deluded little Catholic boy. Yeah. As me in Legoland, me in Poland, Zakopane. That's me in Zakopane there with a monster, with I think that's Legoland. So yeah, I had a sandpit. I used to play in, that was my sandpit when I was a kid. My dad made me a sandpit. Even my sister, look at my sister there, look. When we believed that cancer research was genuine. Look how much we were both like that. Me and my sister was both like that. My sister used to raise tons of money. She was amazing. Cancer research, 1,500. That's back in 2007. Pretty awesome. She used to be Nurse of the Year. She was Nurse of the Year once. That's it. Oh yeah, if I've ever told you about my that's my school. You know, at the end of the year, they tell you whether you're good or bad. So I got two of them here. This was in 1983. So I don't know how old I was. I'll just read some of them out to you. So religious education, 55 I got as a grade. Position 9, I don't know what that means. Effort, C. Mark wastes a lot of his time, his ability. Mark wastes a lot of his ability. Not prepared for serious study and can disturb others who wish to progress. Disruptor of the class. That was me. English, 29 out of 60. Position 19. There's 19. C, another C. Mark tends to be very childish. You think? At times. He needs to settle down much more. See the program? See the program? They couldn't program me, guys. They couldn't program me. Mathematics, oof. 37 out of 100. B. A disappointing exam. Mark has worked well most of the time. He occasionally asks silly APS. Science, 48. D, that's better. Mark is not making use of his ability. He could do much better. He's tired. It says he's tired. You think I'm tired being in a prison? History. Just don't get me started. Mark has little interest in this subject. You think? Possibly because you're teaching bullshit? And seems to prefer clowning around. I tell you what, this is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. At the time, my mum and dad was absolutely heartbroken, but my dad will have been. I don't know if my mum was alive. Where was I? Come on, this is important, people. Clowning around. I hope his attitude changes for next year. He is a pleasant enough pupil, but he is his own worst enemy. Damn! D. Mark wastes far too much time talking and finding excuses as to why he is not progressing with his work. Point, lazy. Oh, this is great. Where's that card gone? That card was absolutely bloody perfect. This is why it told me to take this out. Oh, I'm going to have to read this twice. It's so good. Art. Mark is capable and not without ability, but refuses to take advice. Oh, nothing's changed. Ask both my ex-wives. Okay, here we go. Form teacher's comments. So this must be the higher teacher. Mark's attitude to work, which was not good, has deteriorated since Christmas. He is wasting his time and his talents at present. Thank you very much. That's brilliant. Next one. Who's this? I don't know them. Mr. Connolly. I can't even read your writing, you crap writer. Literally, he's like a doctor. Mark gets worse. Mark gets worse. Oh, this is classic. This is amazing. Mark gets worse. Oh God. I can read appalling. Oh, I'm gonna have an heart attack. Well, how did Mark die? Reading his reports at school. Appalling. I love it. Oh, I can't read his writing. Oh, I don't know if I can do the other one. I'm gonna leave it for now, guys. Oh, that's really cheered me up. Literally, that has so cheered me up. Take time to read through your reports. Oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you. Thanks for the laugh. I'm going to show that to my daughter. Gonna make her so proud. So let me read it again. Take time today to go through some old photographs of yourself and your loved ones, and those you love and miss in spirit. You see, if I'd have really done well at school, I could have read this beautiful for you. Choose the ones that touch your heart deeply as you look at them. Oh. Put all these photos together in a large mountain so your heart will smile. I think what I might I think I'm going to professionally mount my 2 beautiful school reports so I can walk past them every day and smile. This is the best medication. I swear to God, thank you to all my teachers for honestly bringing so much joy into my heart today, and healing and health. So you can smile each day as you catch a glimpse of your beautiful collection of beautiful messages said about me by my teachers. And yeah, do this for spirit. Do this for you. All right, guys, gotta say, really enjoyed today's video. I'm wishing you all a lovely day. Bottom of my heart, stay amazing and never, ever be controlled. Never, ever be controlled. Always be free spirit. Take care. Love you all.